Hey, my name's James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. The Federal Reserve has cut interest rates this week. In this video, I'm going to talk about how much they've cut them. And not only that, in the press conference, it was crazy. A lot was being spoken about Donald Trump and what his impact on the presidency could have on the Federal Reserve. Now, that in turn could have massive impacts on mortgage rates all around the world. I'm going to tell you if that's good or if it's bad, and what the Federal Reserve said when questioned about is the chairman going to quit if Donald Trump fires him. So before we jump into that, as always, if you haven't done already, do subscribe to the channel over there and hit the bell notification. We're on the way to 33,000 subscribers, which we're very, very nearly at now. We're a smidge away. And while you're here, smash like, tickle like, do something to that like button. That really, really helps with the YouTube algorithm and it's helping the channel grow. So I appreciate everybody that does that. So we're in the UK. Why do we care about the Federal Reserve and what their interest rate does? Well, we're so intertwined as countries now, and our currencies are intertwined. I'd argue that if you had a job of either being the chairman of the Federal Reserve or the Bank of England, I think the Bank of England's actually an easier job, because there's a phrase, we've used it on this channel and it's used in a lot of other places, that the Bank of England just follow the Fed. Now, they did cut rates first in the Bank of England, but they're going to have to keep their rates in a range that's close to what the Federal Reserve does. So how much has the Federal Reserve cut this month? Well, they've taken their rates down from 4.75% down to 4.5%. The last time it was at that level was March of 2023. So a while ago, a long while ago now. And so that is good. That will impact anyone that is on a tracker mortgage, and that will help them reduce their cost, which is good. But what was more interesting was the questions and answers afterwards. And it was really getting a little fiery because over recent weeks, Donald Trump has said he is going to fire Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell is the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve is separate from the government. It's a separate company, in fact, but it's not the same as a company that you or I have, because they can print money. I can't. I wish I could. But they are separate from the government. Now, there's a lot of belief that the president can't fire the chair of the Federal Reserve. However, they can look to get rid of them for something called cause, which is very open. That means that if the Federal Reserve is doing damage to the economy with high inflation potentially, and that is causing pain on the Americans, the president actually can get rid of them in that scenario, and they can get rid of other members on the Federal Reserve Committee. Now, Jerome Powell was asked about this. It was the most common question yesterday. And he was asked, if Donald Trump asks you to quit, will you quit? And he said, no, I won't. Then another journalist said to him, if Donald Trump fires you, can he get rid of you? And because a lot of people are a little unsure on this, and there would be a legal challenge, right? So it says you can get rid of a Federal Reserve person for cause, but it's never been done, and it's never been through the courts. So it wouldn't be easy, right? It wouldn't be very easy to do. And so Jerome Powell said, you can't legally get rid of me, and I'm not going anywhere. Now, I can't see that being great for anybody. If you have the head of the Federal Reserve saying, I'm not leaving, whatever you do, and you've got the president saying, you're not very good and I want to fire you, that's not going to give much certainty to markets. Whatever you think of Donald Trump, whether you like him or you dislike him, and whether you like Jerome Powell or not, having two people in such important positions clashing on such an important thing that impacts the economy, I can't see working out that well long term. So I don't know ultimately what will happen with that. But what Donald Trump wants to do is have more say in interest rates. And the reason you don't have that is so it's not political. Otherwise, the Conservatives would have made the Bank of England slash rates prior to calling an election. You'd just do that, wouldn't you? If you wanted to win, you'd be like, right, we've just slashed interest rates from 5% to 1%. Vote us back in. And people would, because suddenly they've got more money and life's got a lot easier. Might not be the right thing to fix an economy, though. And so Donald Trump wants to have more power. He wants to have a say in the outcome of those rate meetings. But also there's a conflict of interest there because he has a lot of real estate and he wants cheaper rates because that's going to save him hundreds of millions of pounds in interest payments. So potentially Donald Trump could make Jerome Powell's life so difficult that he leaves. I mean, if he just keeps going for him, Jerome Powell's going to think about his legacy. He's going to say, you know what? I got them through inflation. I got inflation back with a soft landing without a recession. And so maybe I don't want to harm my legacy by butting heads with a president, and then he could leave. And then Donald Trump would install someone that he picks. Now, in that scenario, he would pick somebody that's likely to lower interest rates. So if you want lower interest rates, that is something that could happen here. And it's really interesting because there's lots of people that are talking about this in Forbes, the Financial Times, and potentially Donald Trump installs one of his own people in there and rates come down a lot faster than people were expecting. And you might say this sounds ludicrous. It's never going to happen. Well, the fact is, Donald Trump is already saying he's going to get rid of Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell saying, I'm not leaving. Something's got to give here. Someone is going to win and someone is going to lose. And ultimately, I think eventually what will happen, Jerome Powell's current status, he is the chair of the Federal Reserve until 2026. I think if he keeps getting told, I want you to go, I want you to go, I want you to go, I think he'll go. Because why would you want to damage your legacy? You did well with bringing down inflation and not causing a major recession. That is something that will be looked on fondly in the future. It could make such a volatile, potentially, market, it could be very difficult. The other thing that was asked about was the tariffs. So Donald Trump, if you've watched the election, has said he is going to put tariffs on anything that's imported into America, particularly stuff from China and cars from Mexico. He said numbers ranging from 200% to 1,000%, I've heard him talk about, on cars from Mexico, which would mean those cars would be unaffordable for Americans, and then they'd have to make it and manufacture it in the UK, in America. And so these tariffs from China, let's just say you bought a phone, an old phone, for £100, $100, and it came in and the tariff's 100%, sorry, you're going to pay $200 for the importer's going to pay $200 for that phone. That cost is going to be passed on to the consumer. And that was asked of Jerome Powell, is that going to cause more inflation? All the economists are saying it is. He will not comment on it. He doesn't want to be involved in the political conversation here. He just says this hasn't happened. So if it doesn't happen, until it's happened, we're not going to deal with it. And so it really is interesting what could happen there. It's going to be very volatile. Potentially, if they clash and clash and clash, someone new will come in, and I think you'll see the Fed drop rates very fast. And that scenario, you'll see the Bank of England having to keep up, because if the Fed drop from 4.5 down to 2, and we're still at 5 or 4.75, that's not going to work. The pound will get too strong in that scenario, and that would detriment our economy as well. So I think it's interesting, this one. I'd love to know your thoughts, questions, and opinions. Keep it nice and polite. You don't have to like Trump or dislike Trump. Just comment below with what you think will happen. Do you think Donald Trump coming in could bring interest rates down faster? That's the question. Comment that below. Do like, do subscribe. Check out all the other content on my channel, including this video right here.